relationship. God does not want dead rituals or, let's say, traditions.
Rumors that you joined some kind of like a cult.
I was brainwashed there's not going to be any joy in hell. Only dead fish swim with the stream.
Why did you decide to present the album in Russia?
Too much for the Western society. Then it's not my problem. The good thing is that for the future we can ask artificial intelligence about it, right?
Всем привет, вы на канале Hangover, с вами Алекс, Ник, и хочу вам представить нашего специального гостя Dero. Hi, Dero.
Hello, привет, good evening, добрый вечер.
Good evening.
Dero, my congratulations to your return to the stage with debut album 1984 and the first tour. How did it go?
Wow, it was very exciting for me because it was the first time after such a long time with OOMPH, right? And then a new project, new musicians, new atmosphere, new songs. That was kind of like really fresh, like jumping in cold water. But it was cool. I mean, really, it was fun. Yeah, I'm absolutely satisfied with the result. And all the participants on stage were Russians, so that was the first time to be on stage with Russians. So yeah, but all of the people that I was together with on stage, I've known for such a long time, so that was cool too. So yeah, it was exciting. I'm absolutely happy that it went well.
Cool. Why did you decide to present the album in Russia?
Because I have had an offer for such a long time, and I tend to keep my promises. So I was invited a couple of years ago already, and I said, okay, yeah, if this invitation still exists, I will come as promised, and so I did.
So what did it feels like to start over after 30 years of a successful career?
Yeah, it's like beginning completely anew, and that's fresh. I always appreciated new dimensions. I mean, with OOMPH, I liked the changes, and then I've had my side project with What About Bill, which is kind of like completely different jazz swing style of the 40s, 50s. Now I went back to my roots because I grew up in the 80s. And I'm now with my solo project. I just do what I began with. Time traveled back, if you want so, to the middle of the 80s when I was a teenager. And then that's what makes this album mainly because I was confronted with dystopian circumstances during the first lockdown, right? So it reminded me of this Orwellian novel, 1984. And I was like forced to compose with my computer. So I said, well, why not combining both circumstances, the nightmares around me and my, let's say, musical upbringing in the 80s? And I think it perfectly matches.
That's great. That's really great. So your music with the new album is radically changed. So what do you want to say with this album?
Well, of course, I reflect my own changes because I've changed as a person myself over the last years. And I think it's honest to reflect those changes musically. And it would be, let's say, dishonest if I would just continue with what I've done for such a long time just because there's a big audience who would appreciate that. But as a musician, as an artist, I would start and lie if I don't feel like that. And I didn't feel like that anymore when I composed my new material. So I just try to be as honest as possible. And I'm a versatile person. I like rock and metal as much as I like electronic music, alternative, independent stuff, whatever. So yeah, I don't hesitate diving into new dimensions as an artist, and this is why the new album is like it is or sounds like it sounds because I'm not afraid of exploring new dimensions.
Cool. Dero, what do you think about cancel culture? I heard you had cases.
Well, of course, the so-called open-minded, tolerant, and democratic and enlightened West is turning more and more into a cancel culture. I mean, they don't put you to jail just because you criticize something, but they count you out. I mean, they just cancel you. You're not existing anymore on the, let's say, musical scene, on the artist scene anymore if you don't swim with the stream. And for me as an artist, this is like being dead because only dead fish swim with the stream. So as an artist, it's always interesting to put the finger there where it hurts the most, right? And even put salts into the wounds, right? Because that's my duty as an artist. And this is why I'm dare to criticize all the current Western things like the LGBTQ stuff or the climate change madness or even the whole Corona stuff. And I dare to have my own opinion on things, and this is why people criticize me. But I mean, I as a person, as an artist, have not changed concerning this point because I was always a provocative person. And so I just continue being provocative. So how can you be as much provocative as possible in the West today? You turn conservative because the West is polluted by libertarian vocalists. And yeah, but that's again, that's my duty as an artist. I need to provoke. I need to reflect the world as I see it. And if this is too much for the Western society, then it's not my problem. Then it's obviously the problem of the Western society who has changed that much that it turns more and more into an autocracy and not as it pretends to be, enlightened, free, diverse, and so on. Because if you ask me, true diversity begins with diversity of opinion. And if a society cannot bear the opinion of the opponent anymore, it just proves that it has turned into a totalitarian, whatever, dystopia. But it's not democracy anymore. And I'm just pointing this out in my music. And as long as I'm able to do that here, I will continue with doing it, whether they cancel me, count me out or not. I know that more and more people are thinking like I do think. So to them, it's interesting to buy forbidden albums, you know? So yeah, it's always a challenge.
Okay, I was at St. Petersburg sold out show. The crowd was very nice and very different. OOMPH fans, Depeche Mode fans, Rammstein fans. It was a little bit strange to see you in a new image. Tell us about the concept of the show. Who came up with it all?
Well, it was mainly my vision to have this kind of like duality of the colors, and that's the whole image of the whole album and the artwork. Yeah, and I worked together with a Russian female digital artist, and it turned out very well, and it matches absolutely with the music, in my humble opinion. We should also present this on stage, and luckily we could do that, and all the requirements were there, and I'm happy that it all went so well. Yeah.
I know that you often have direct dialogue with the fans, right? Now it's chat and Telegram. Previously, it was Facebook and forums. How important is for you to be in direct contact with the audience?
It's very important for me because there you get the most honest reaction. You cannot, let's say, pretend to be enthusiastic or not, right? I mean, if you go on stage and people freak out because of your music, then you did lots of good things. I mean, you did much right. But you can hide behind, let's say, a mask if you don't play live, just release your albums so you will never get a direct honest reaction. So it's very important for me to get in direct contact with the audience via concerts, for example, and also via the internet. As long as it's still possible, I will do that, but in a different way, you know. I don't present myself as the most let's say cool guy or whatever. I have the best good looking photos all the time and present myself like I'm the coolest asshole in the world. No, there's already too many of those people, so I won't join them. So for me, it's very important to get in real dialogue with the audience so that we are on the same stage, right? I mean, I'm not any better than any other. So, and that's why what I'm trying to show within the internet. You know, when I get in contact with people, I mean, it's like really a dialogue. And I'm not any better than any other person. Just tell me what you think about things, and I'm trying to answer to you as honestly as possible. That's my approach on it. And I don't need to play games. Don't need to wear masks. I don't need to pretend the most cool guy that ever existed. It is a bit funny to see that because there's already far too many bands who do that. And if you do that, you get ridiculous in a certain way, you know. To me, yeah, this is not interesting anymore to play the most tough, the most hard, the most cool guy. I don't know. It's funny games to me. So yeah, I try to be as honestly as possible, and that's my approach on it, on stage and backstage, and also in the internet. And yeah, it's very important to me. Absolutely.
Cool, let's return to the album. I heard that you did everything yourself: lyrics, music, recording, mixing, design. Tell us about the experience, what you liked and what you hated.
Well, that's a good question. I absolutely like to create new ideas. That's the most thrilling thing as a musician, because I'm a very spontaneous guy, and there were so many things happening during the first lockdown. So, wow, I mean, things came out of me, and I was just thinking, wow, so many new ideas in such a short period of time. And after, let's say, 2 months, I already had about 40 or 50 new ideas. So I just continued and I just thought, yeah, that's the right way. I mean, I'm forced to write on my own, and obviously no one hinders me, and it just comes out. It just felt natural to use the English language. I don't know why, because maybe it was due to the fact that during that period of time I was watching many English speaking shows in the internet or documentaries or TV stations, networks. This is why I was influenced by the English language the most during that period of time, obviously. And this is why I used it, and it felt natural. But I won't exclude the German language for the future. If there's gonna be another project where it suits to use German language again, I will do that. But with this project, so far it sounds natural to use the English language. So yeah, it was like, I mean, if you create a baby from zero to 99, or I don't know, from A to Z, this is really, really thrilling, mind-blowing, but also very exhausting because you need to be in control of everything. Otherwise, I don't know, it ends up in utter chaos, right? So, but I'm absolutely glad and thankful that there were so many people who were helping me with this project concerning the videos, concerning the artwork, and so on. So, yeah, I'm glad on the one hand, and on the other hand, it was really exhausting. And it could have been faster if there would be more people involved, of course. But, well, it felt just right that everything just came out of my mind. So I can say I'm responsible for those thoughts. You can only blame me. Don't blame others, right? This is a good thing.
Okay, how it was in oomph?
Well, we all three composed from the beginning. So yeah, it was kind of like more combination of everything, and everyone had to fight for his ideas if you want so. So it was a constant struggle, and yeah, this also works on you in a negative way on the long term. Yeah, especially if three different personalities come together. Yeah, it turned out that we developed in different directions, to be honest. So in many ways, politically, economically, personally, spiritually, it didn't match anymore. So it was about time to quit with it. It's a miracle that this band existed in the original lineup for such a long time, because we were constantly fighting over such a long time about every single detail, from the artwork over the hi-hat to the outfit on stage. Everything was about struggle and fight, and that's not good at the long term, because you can get seriously sick if you are constantly just fighting. I mean, this seems to be normal within music industry because there's so many blockheads coming together, and everyone thinks that he has the best ideas. But sometimes it's better to work on your own. A very much appreciated artist like Devin Townsend, for example. I love this artist, but he does so many things on his own, right? Or Trent Reznor from Nine Inch Nails, for example. Yeah, there's pro and cons. If you work together with people, yeah, you get influenced by their minds, by their ideas, but it can also hinder your own ideas. You have to always make compromises when you work together with others. And so, if you want so, if all are included at the same time, then the whole album is kind of like a big compromise, which is not good always. So this is why there's heads of bands, probably. They say, okay, now I decide what we take, and so on. But we never had a head of a band. We were three, let's say, democratically person. I mean, we had all the same rights and impact and influences. So that was hard in a way. but it was fun at first, but then it turned out to not be that much funny anymore. So this is why I'm not in the band anymore.
I can completely understand all these things because we are all musicians here. And every time when you start to write a new song, you start thinking, okay, let's do a breakdown right here. Oh, no, not the breakdown. Let's do the chorus right here, not the chorus. Which note you're going to play here? Which note you're going to play there? And it's really hard work to do. So I can completely understand you what you're talking about.
Me too.
Thank you. So the good thing is that for the future, we can ask artificial intelligence about it, right?
Which themes from your debut album could have appeared in OOMPH tracks at the time, and which ones never?
Well, that's a good question. I think it's very hard to answer to it because I have changed so much personally over that period of time that I cannot really say that. I mean, you can maybe here and there that I have an impact also on OOMPH with my compositions, with my lyrics, with my vocal lines, and so on. You can hear that still, maybe, but I think it's really, I mean, to me personally, subjectively, it's like stepping from darkness into light. That's the period of time when I left OOMPH, came to the true faith in Christ, and that now having my solo album and my new material. So you cannot really compare this. It's like, I don't know, you have to experience it yourself to be able to feel and see and understand what I'm talking about now. But it is like really coming from another life into a new life. So yeah, this is kind of like a resurrection or whatever, a new life, a new birth. Yeah, it's hard. Probably one or two or three songs of the new album could have been also on an OOMPH album with hard guitars and then with a bit more rough vocals, but with other lyrics probably because I came from another, let's say, chapter of my life. So yeah, it's really very hard to say. I don't know. Maybe others should say that. I cannot really.
I see, maybe one or two songs.
Yeah.
Next question is this is your first release as a believer, and you have talked a lot about how you came to this in various interviews and social networks. But for most Russian fans, I think this is maybe the first time. So please tell us about your path to Christ.
Well, first of all, you must understand that I grew up Catholic, religious. Like this is pretty similar to Orthodox faith. There's differences, but it's pretty much the same. So I grew up religious, but I never had a real encounter with Christ. It belonged to my life because my parents taught me to do so and so on. But when I grew up as a teenager, I doubted so many things because I said, if there's a God, how can this world be like it is, right? It's so rotten, it's so corrupt, really perverted to the core. How can a God allow this to happen? So I doubted that there's God, or I was angry about God. It was a combination of that, and this is why there was so many songs within OOMPH where I just screamed out my anger towards God, right? This is kind of like a red line that goes through all the OOMPH albums. So God wasn't dead for me, obviously. So I was no atheist, but I was an agnostic and I was angry on God. And I said, if there's a God, why is this world like it is? But then, due to several personal crises in my life, my younger son was diagnosed with child cancer. And then my dad died from his long-term alcohol abuse. And that was doing 1 or 2 years and I was just asking the fundamental questions. Is there a God or is there no God? Is this all uncontrolled? Is this all just random, mindless, just a dance of the atoms? And I came to the result, no, this does not make any sense because nothing cannot create everything and life cannot come from non-life. So I was approaching on it as logically as possible, let's say it that way. And I found out, I mean, that our DNA is a program for life, basically a very, very specific program. And no program can program itself, especially not randomly from nothing. And then we have all natural law, which is like carved in stone. It doesn't change randomly. So if random processes would have been responsible for all of this, why do not the all natural law change randomly, constantly? One and one equals two, and this was yesterday, and tomorrow it's the same. I mean, 1 and 1 equals 2 and not 3, and it cannot be 5 the same time, right? So X and Y chromosomes prove two genders and not 37, even though people in the West prove claim otherwise. I mean, there's natural law, and of course, the law of gravity is also absolute and objective. And even if an atheist would jump out of a plane and would say, I don't need a parachute, I will flap with my arms, he will be confronted with this absolute and objective truth sooner or later. Depends on his weight and on the height of the plane. This is all natural law, and it's not very helpful to eat a spoonful of plutonium, for example. Now I have mentioned all chapters, right? Chemistry, biology, maths, and physics. So this is natural law and it's carved in stone. It doesn't change. If there's law that doesn't change, that points to a lawgiver who does not change. That was my logical conclusion. So random processes could not have been involved in this because it doesn't change randomly. And I can fathom that life can only come from life and not from non-life. So I was approaching on it logically as possible, due to severe personal crisis that made me think about these fundamental things in life because I could not deal with everything. So I was really asking God, if you're there, then please reveal yourself to me. And I was realizing that religion is the wrong way because religion has twisted everything and distorted everything and just abused everything for their own purpose, just to gain power and influence. And they are hindering people to come to the truth. And this is exactly what Jesus says in the Bible, by the way. He criticizes religious people the most in the Gospels. First of all, I started to read the Bible. I judged the Bible for such a long time without knowing it, and that was pretty superficial and hypocrite, if you ask me. So looking back, I really asked for God, and He answered to me. And I prayed to Jesus, and He answered to me. So the main thing that I can say is God wants relationship. God does not want dead rituals or, let's say, traditions. He's not interested in such things. He wants our hearts. He truly loves us. This is why He gave His life for us. And He does not want us to end up in hell for all eternity, which is 100% disconnection from God, where there's 0% of what comes from God. So there's not going to be any joy in hell. That much is true. So, yeah, I was just asking for God and praying to Him, and He was answering to me. That's all I can say about it. It was connected with the Bible, with the Word of God. So I really dived deep into the scripture and realized that is the true, incorruptible Word of God, not just concerning biblical prophecy that has come true in over 3,200 cases already, but is also historically accurate. And so many people were there in history who tried to debunk the Bible, but they could not so far. Of course, it's about faith. I mean, you need to be able to believe that there was one person who believed, who claimed to be God and who left his tomb empty. You need to believe that because you have never realized that. You have never experienced in this life. That doesn't mean that it cannot happen. I mean, we also believe in Big Bang, even though we didn't take part in the Big Bang, right? There's many things that we need to believe. And everyone is a believer, more or less. I mean, there's so many people who try to tell me, I don't believe in anything. I say, how does that go? I mean, you just believe that you don't believe in anything, which is a belief itself. But you cannot believe in nothing. Everyone is believing in some things. I think everyone should find out for themselves if it's logical what they believe, if it's coherent what they believe, and then they need to hopefully come to a logical conclusion if there's an intelligent designer or not. And if there's one, who is it? Because there's plenty of idols to pick from. And in my humble opinion, there's only one true living God. All the others must be fake. All of the gods, so-called gods, they contradict each other. So logically, they cannot all be true at the same time. So that's my approach. For me, I found the true living God. But that does not give me the right to persecute others, to hate others, to kill others, to mock others. What religion did in the name of God, that's wrong. That's in my humble opinion, my belief system, this is devilish. It's satanic to do that. And I would not do that. I mean, I pray for those who have not found Christ yet, so that they might find the truth and the truth will set them free, and that they find inner peace and the knowledge that if they die tomorrow, they will be with their Lord, Savior, and Creator. That's my approach on it. I mean, I cannot put it any shorter. Sorry for that. But yeah, I was just asking the fundamental questions and came to the result that there's one true living God.
So I see, because if we're looking at you in OOMPH, we see this kind of dark persona that's screaming, yelling, and now, as we can see you on stage, you're a completely different person. You're more coming to light, and you're not wearing a dark as I can say. You're more like in a suit and all this kind of stuff. So that's completely big changes.
Yeah, I can assume, I can imagine that people now say, well, this guy's completely brainwashed. I mean, they're right. I was brainwashed before I came to Christ, and now I'm brainwashed by Christ. So, but to me, this is the only washing program who can truly wash you bright, clear, clean. All the others are not able to do that. The tragic thing about it is that those people who claim that I'm now brainwashed, they would never consider themselves to be brainwashed. And that is a clear hint for them being brainwashed, right? Because we all are brainwashed more or less by the matrix, if you want to call the system that we live in the matrix or whatever. We are brainwashed by our parents, by our school system, by our preachers, whatever, peer groups, by our friends, by our spouses, by a TV program, by the internet channels that we choose. We are brainwashed constantly. And if someone would deny that brainwash, they do not know at all what brainwash means. I think it was never before that easy to brainwash people as it is right now via the new media, via the internet, via artificial intelligence. It's very dangerous, but I claim that every one of us is brainwashed.
So how did your faith influence your departure from OOMPH? Because there were rumors that you joined some kind of like a cult and you were kicked out of the band because of it. So according to the other rumors, the
Yeah.
band was not ready to accept themes for new songs and you were fired from OOMPH. Tell us your version, please.
Both is not true. The question is, who said that? I'm absolutely sure that the band doesn't say that because we all three know why we're not together anymore. It was a decision of three and not a decision of two or just one. So it was a decision of three, all of us, to say it's not good to work together anymore. But it culminated over the last 15 years. I wasn't a believer in Christ back then, 10 years ago, 5 years ago. Oh, 5 years, okay, it started. But 10 years ago, I was not a believer, but it was very critical even back then within the band. Maybe it was the last final drop, but it wasn't the main reason. No, not at all. We were such, or we're still such different personalities, and it's not good to have that combination over such a long time. I mean, there's so many bands who really broke into pieces because of such constellations of personalities. I did not want that. And as a founding member of the band, I would have had all the right to prevent all the others from continuing with his name. But I didn't do that. Why? They wanted to continue. I knew that they would search for a new singer, and I said, okay, I have nothing against that. You can do that, right? I won't put any stones in your path. So you can do that. No, I didn't get fired, and my faith wasn't the main reason. So both is not true. It just culminated over the years. Our, let's say, inner circle, they realized it for such a long time that we're no friends anymore and that we're just working together as soon as it's necessary. But in private life, we had nothing to do for maybe 15 years already. We were just working together in the studio, or we were just meeting when we went on tour or when we went to festivals. But in the spare time, no, we didn't hang out together anymore for such a long time because we just weren't friends anymore. It just was like that. I mean, I would lie if I would claim otherwise, and I think they would support this. It just didn't work anymore.
It's like a routine for you.
That's it.
Just correct me if I'm wrong. Since you start playing in OOMPH, you're playing like 32 years or something like that.
Oh yeah, it could be 1989. Yeah, about that. Yeah.
Yeah, I see. I got it.
So I have a question. Are you interested in what the OOMPH is doing now? What do you think about the new singer?
Well, first of all, of course, I was watching the videos. Why not? I thought the first video was very interesting. I thought the singer is not doing too bad. So it was okay to me to watch it. I was cringing myself, even though I was a former singer of it. If they're happy now, all I can say, good luck with that. It's always hard to be the new singer in a band that existed for such a long time. This should not sound narcissistic, but I think it's hard to copy my voice. So
Of course.
you see what I mean? So it was hard for him because you will always be compared by the audience. So this is very, very hard. So I don't know if they have done themselves a favor with searching for a male singer. Maybe it would be far easier if they would have searched for a female singer, because then no one would have compared, right? So I don't know, but it's up. I mean, it's up to them. Good luck to them. I mean, we're not at war. Thank God for that. And when we saw the last time, we were just hugging each other and everyone was wishing the best to the other one. And that's okay. I'm very thankful that it is that way.
Cool. What do you think about Linkin Park with a female singer?
This question has so many aspects and dimensions either. Do you mean the Scientology background of her, for example?
No. Just return with
Okay.
a female.
Okay, well, that's also hard. I mean, Chester had such a authentic, charismatic voice, and it's very hard to copy. So she doesn't do that. She's screaming, of course, trying her best. But I think Chester was better. That's from my perspective, my humble opinion on it. He was far better technically. But what can you do? I mean, they have chosen her. I don't know why. They had their reasons. I don't know if there would have been better singers. Maybe they didn't want the new singer to be too close
Yes.
to the original voice. So she's not too close. Sadly, because I've seen already a couple of live videos, sadly, I don't think she's a good live performer. That's just my humble opinion. Chester was better live. But what can you do? You cannot bring him back, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we also have question from the fans. What needs to happen for you to reunite with OOMPH?
Oh, wow. I don't think that this is gonna happen.
Maybe in 10 years.
No, for several reasons, I don't think this is going to happen. It's just healthier that way. I don't know if they can ever understand me. I hope that they will one day understand me and my faith right now. That would mean that they would also come to the true faith, but I cannot make them believe. So I don't know. I could imagine that they think that I'm completely freaked out now, but what can you do? I mean, it's hard. So I wish them all the best, and I don't want them to change just to fit better to me. That would be a narcissistic approach either. We've been given a free will, right? And I respect the free will, and I hope that they respect my free will without any prejudices. But that's hard these days. So most of the people are driven by their prejudices. But that's kind of like a sign of the times that people rather tend to talk about others in their little bubbles and echo chambers than to talk with them. Because if they would talk with the ones that they rather tend to talk about, they would see that many of the things that they've heard about the guys that they were talking about are not like they've been told to do, that they've been told that they are. Because if you get in contact with a person directly, you see that many things that they talk about you is utter bullshit, but and rumors and just prejudices and just smear campaigns. But that's the world as it is. You cannot change it anymore, right? I mean, this direction is unstoppable. So let's see how fast it will go until we're dominated by AI.
Okay, in your opinion, after the resolution of the global conflict, how much time will it take for the music industry return to the Russian market?
Wow, that's a hard, tough question. I mean, it all depends on how this situation develops, right? I mean, I'm always praying for, let's say, peace debates, right? That's the best thing. Go back to the table and debate things. That's what makes us human beings, right? As long as the fronts are hardened, it's hard for an audience to come back. But if people come together, sit down and talk seriously about peace and about, let's say, the stop of the war, then hopefully everything's going to be better for the future. But it all depends on this factor, right? I mean, will the situation escalate or not? What's the impact of the NATO? What's the impact of the other participants? I mean, this is really unpredictable. As a believer in the Bible, I know that things not going to be better until Jesus comes back. That's my true faith. And to be honest, looking back in world's history, did we ever change really? Since Babylon and Medo-Persia and Egypt and Rome, the Greek kingdom, I do not have the feeling that we truly change. It's all about rise, bloom, and decay. rise, bloom, and decay, rise, bloom, and decay, rise, bloom, and decay over and over again. And it doesn't seem that we learn much, right? So I don't know. I hope and pray that, of course, the situation will calm down again and people will start and talk with each other again. But again, wherever I play, whether it is America, Europe, Russia, wherever, I always come and play for the audience, never for the government, right? So I've got nothing against morals, right? As a Christian, I do believe that there's absolute and objective morals. It's wrong to kill, to steal, to fornicate, to rape, and so on. But I believe that it's bad because I believe that God has given his moral law into our hearts, right? It's not subjective. I don't believe that morals are subjective. Like all natural law is not subjective, it's objective. This is why I have a ground for to judge situations, right? But I cannot really see that we're heading towards like a true change within our hearts, minds, and souls. Everything remains over the thousands of years. It's all about conflict and then about, let's say, agreements and then about, let's say, corporations and then about conflicts again and so on and so on. A never-ending spiral. I don't know. I hope and pray still. I go to countries to play for the people, and I really appreciate that. If we would start and argue morally, I think you would not be able to play in any country anymore because any country is involved in conflicts and evil things. This is why it's hard for me as a musician to judge or to foresee the future, but it all depends on the ability to talk again. And hopefully this will happen very soon.
What are your plans? What are you working on right now, maybe?
Well, I constantly work on new songs, and I've already written about 30 new songs, so there's material for at least two more albums. Yeah, and I'm influenced still by daily news and by everything that I see around me. So there's no lack of influence at the moment because time's running so fast and more things are happening simultaneously, so that you think, oh, as a musician, this is really cool. But of course, as a person who has a heart, mind, and soul, it's very exhausting to see all those things happen at the same time, all those catastrophes, all those negative things. But it's the best thing to deal with it when you are an artist, because then you can reflect the world as you see it and you can let it all out, right? I'm still influenced very much and I'm still very creative and I'm thankful for that fact. So to answer your question directly, I'm still working on my new album, and hopefully I'm going to be able to put it out next year and then tour again. So yeah, that's it mainly.
We have a traditional question for all our guests. What is the best thing against hangover?
Wow. Not to drink, for example.
It's very simple.
Nice one.
That's the best one.
Yeah.
Well, to sleep very, very long, of course. That's it. Mainly to drink much water and to do minerals at the same time. We have in the drugstores you have packages with minerals. If you have a real serious hangover, you can have a liter of mineral water with those minerals working better because mainly you're suffering because you're lacking those minerals, right? This is why your brain is pumping like that and so on if you have a hangover. I can truly recommend to not drink at all. That's the best thing against hangover. But if you're not able to avoid this, then well, drink a lot water and have a serious amount of minerals, of course, definitely.
So that was really interesting and nice interview. First of all, thanks for your time. That was honor.
Thank you.
Maybe the last one, what are your wishes for the fans?
Well, of course, I wish you all the best from the bottom of my heart. Health, for example, joy, love, fun, and that you find the truth that will set you free. But I cannot make you find the truth. You must go and search for yourself, right? So I recommend to anyone, go and search for the reason for living because there's one. You could find out that one and one equals two, and so on. There is the reason for living, there is the truth, and I hope people that you will find the truth. That's all I can say. We'll see for all eternity together in heaven. Would appreciate that. Cheesy as it might sound for someone who does not believe yet, the biggest goal that I have in my heart that as many people as possible that I know or I meet will one day be for all eternity together in the best circumstance that you could ever imagine.
Thank you very much, Dero.
Thank you. It was a pleasure.
Thank you, Dero.
God
Hope
bless
to
you.
see you soon in Russia.
Thank you. Peace. Bye bye.
Have a nice
Bye
evening.
bye.
Thank you.